I lost my sports. They're gone. I just don't have them anymore. I mean, there's some sports that I was never good at. Like I sucked at bowling. Doesn't matter whether I'm ambidextrous, and I can bowl right-handed, and I suck, and I can bowl left-handed, and I still suck. It didn't matter. Bowling just. I mean, if I broke 100, it was amazing that I was able to do it. Same with golf. I've never been a golfer either. Never broke 100 in that either. And with golf, with that one, I'll say I just didn't golf enough, to get good at it, and I didn't, go to practice ranges or anything. But it wasn't an important sport to me. I only golfed a few times for business and things. But I will say this about golf: I was not a good golfer, but I was a unique golfer, and I like to tell people that who and they'll always go, yeah, yeah, right, unique, until you hear why I was unique. Uh, all of my woods are left-handed, and all of my irons are right-handed. So I golfed both left-handed and right-handed when I was golfing, and it was kind of funny when I'd be out golfing with somebody who didn't know me, and it usually took about 4 holes or so before they would notice I was golfing different ways, and I putted left-handed as well. Not that I wasn't a great putter either. And I didn't get to cheat in golf the same way that a certain president does on golf. But I think even cheating, I wouldn't have been able to break 100 on it. And there are other sports I never got into. Football. I mean, I like to watch it. I'm a Colts fan. Um, Basketball, not my thing. Just never got into it. But there are some other sports that I did get into. And it was a very big part of my life. Um, Karate. I got a black belt in karate. Running. I was a runner. And I actually took up running because when I moved to my high school uh, in my freshman year from Maryland to Michigan, some kids told me that it didn't matter how good you were at baseball because I was good at baseball. And he said it didn't matter if the coaches didn't know you would make the team. So I went out for track because I'm either faster than you or I'm not. It's not based on a coach's decision or anything. So I still regret that to this day, not trying out for the baseball team and tennis as well. I think I could have done well at that. But track became my thing in high school. I ran the 440, the 880, the mile relay, and the long jump, which kind of unique to have a middle distance runner doing the long jump because usually it's the sprinters, and I would actually have to make my run longer than the than the runway in order to build up my speed for it. And I wasn't a great long jumper. I was in there to get second places. We had a really good long jumper, so I was in just to pick up second places if I could get them. But I was able to do it. I had fun doing it. Um, and then volleyball. I didn't know how to play volleyball until I just got into this program in a town that I had moved to out of the blue. I didn't know people, so I just wanted to get into something, and I didn't know anything about volleyball. Wasn't good at it, and I met my wife there, and my wife was phenomenal, and she had the best back set that you would ever see. She had a knuckle serve that people just couldn't handle the serve. I mean, the ball came and it was just moving all directions, and it would go off their right arm, go off their left arm, and it was so devastating that I was trying to spike her serves. I didn't know you weren't allowed to spike a serve on that, but that's how desperate we were, So I met her in there, and when we got together, she taught me how to play volleyball. I mean, we would sit in the dining room, or I'm sorry, in the living room, and we would just sit and just kind of set the ball, you know, like 4 feet away from each other, just kind of set it back and forth. We would do it with softballs. We would even do it with a ping pong ball or a tennis ball. And I got really good at setting. When it came to hitting, being ambidextrous was very much an advantage for me. I got into uh, an A league volleyball thing where they had four leagues. They had A, B, C, and D, and every year they would have coaches, well, not coaches, but they would have somebody pick the teams at like a draft. So if you were the better players, you got drafted into the A league. If you're a little bit less, you got into B. then C, and then D was like a developmental league. So anyway, I was an A League player. I got good enough at it that I got into. I was always picked. I was never picked first or second. I was always picked third, and that's because with your first pick, you usually want that monster hitter, the spiker. Your second pick, you want the best setter that you can get on there, and then the third pick would be usually the person who would be opposite of the best hitter, and that would be me. I didn't hit extremely hard, but I had that one unique ability that a lot of people didn't have. I hit with either hand. So when I went up in the air to hit the ball, they had no idea which hand I was going to hit with, and it gave me a great advantage. So I may not have hit it really, really hard, but I could put it places where they wouldn't get it back. So, so that was just some sports that I got into. And then softball. It's funny how I got onto the team that I got into. A really, really good team. I had moved to a neighborhood, and my wife also. We had moved to a neighborhood in West Chicago, and I wanted to play softball. And I was just pulling into the parking lot of our apartment building one time, and I saw these two guys wearing baseball uniforms getting out of the car and unloading the equipment and everything. And I just stopped by. I had no idea who they were. And I just said, hey, are you guys looking for another player? If you are, I'm willing to try out for your team. If I don't make your team, fine. No, tell me I didn't make the team. And I played for them forever. And we were so good. We picked up so many trophies that everybody on the team got trophies all the time. And down in my basement, I got just a whole ton of trophies that we got from how good we were. And then when I moved away from there, I got into another softball team, and on this team, and this is kind of the funny thing, um, on this team they had me batting leadoff, and I was crazy on the base paths, just totally crazy. I mean, one thing about being a track runner, you're just crazy. And I would go if I hit a single, you know, I if it's in the outfield, I'm going to be halfway between first and second. Then if they throw it behind me, I'm going to be on second before they can get the ball back to second base. If they throw in front of me, they'll just go back to first base. And sometimes they misplay something, and I ended up on third. So I started off with a single, but I ended up on third. So, funny thing that started happening was I got a nickname from the opposing teams. When I would show up to bat, they would start yelling at each other, "Wheels, wheels, wheels," to say that, hey, this is a guy who's crazy on the base paths, which is amazing now when you consider that I'm in a wheelchair. So, okay, you can call me Wheels now. It still would go. Uh, so, uh, so I played softball for a very long time, and I was a runner for a long time. When I got into it, and then I got into 10Ks, and I never did any marathons. Kind of wish I had tried one, but I never did that. But I enjoyed running, and I ran until I started getting arthritis in my toes, which made it painful. And from there, I switched to my other love, swim. I was a swimmer before everything else. I mean, I learned swimming very, very early, and I just wish there had been a team in my high school. When I went to college, I became a swim instructor at the college and other places as well, but I did teach at a junior college. And so I taught adults, I taught children, I taught disadvantaged people how to swim, and including once a paraplegic. Ironic now that I'm, a paraplegic myself, that at one point in time I was teaching a paraplegic how to swim. And I don't know now, if I'm ever going to be able to swim again. I swam up until the time I got paralyzed. It's, some people think, oh, it's easy, you get in the pool. I'm fairly confident that if I got into a pool, I could swim. And because, kicking's never been an important part when you're not sprinting, other than if you're doing, obviously, a butterfly or a breaststroke or something like that. But for the regular crawl stroke, the kick is unimportant most of the time. You can do very well with it. You need just a minor kick. You need the kick when you're sprinting, is when you need it. So I'm fairly certain that if I got into a pool, I could swim again. It's just that the difficulty of getting into a pool I would probably need a couple of caregivers, being able to change I don't know. I don't see how it could easily be done unless I somehow end up going to a facility where all of that is. I mean, I know one place. I mean, the pool that I was swimming in, I know had little cranes that you could use to lift people into the water, but that still doesn't make up for the difficulty of getting me into a swimsuit and then getting me out of the swimsuit and cleaning me up and everything afterwards. I just don't see how I can do that. Um, that may change, and if it does, then yeah, I'd love to get back in the pool again. Um, anyway, it's been taken from me. The sports, it's just been taken. When I first got paralyzed, like 5 years ago now, they had an Olympics soon after that, and I couldn't watch people run or swim on that. I couldn't even watch the protests. When people were walking and protesting, because I go, you guys can walk. I can't even do that. So I, I'm better now. I was for the Olympics last year. I was able to watch them and enjoy them, and get over the fact of what I am now and the fact that I can't do these things. But it did affect me, being able to watch that or not. And some of this gets into my writing. In my new book, Cave Mannerisms, which is a short story collection of cavemen and cave women and cave children and a little bit of dinosaurs and stuff like that. Um, I, some of the stories that affect me now are in there. Like in one case, um, they had one time where they're trying to invent a wheelchair before the wheel was invented, because they want to try to take care of their people. And also talked about Olympics there too. They had their first Olympics in some of the sports that the cavemen were making up with things. And I also wrote another short story that is not in cave mannerisms that I'm shopping now to magazines to see if I can get anybody interested in it. And in this one here, this is a story about millions of years in the future where something happens and all humans are in wheelchairs. Everybody is. It's normal to be in a wheelchair. And they don't remember never not being in a wheelchair before. So something happened. And then this kid comes along who can walk. So they consider him to be a crippled person because he can walk and he's not normal like them. So he's not a wheelchair person and normal. And the buildings and everything are even made so that he can't even walk in a building because he's too tall. They don't need the ceilings to be as high as these ceilings. You just don't need them to be that high. If you're in a wheelchair, I can't touch the ceiling. Never tried. So it's an interesting story, and I like it because it flips the script on things. Lets people see what it's like from the other point of view, and it has a fun ending. Well, not a fun, dystopian ending on things. So anyway, just wanted to talk about sports a little bit. The Super Bowl is tomorrow. I will watch it. Never played football, so it's not like I'm missing anything there. From my own perspective, and I'm not sure who I'm rooting for. It's the one football game where I think I watch the game as much for the commercials as I do anything else. So I would say go commercials. I hope there are a lot of good commercials on that. So anyway, if you are interested in checking out me and my books, my website is www.normcowie.com. That's COWIE. I hope you check out Cave Mannerisms. I had so much fun writing those stories. It's got things from the cave woman point of view. It's got things from the cave kids point of view, from the dinosaurs. A lot of wacky humor and everything in it. And if you don't want humor, you can go to the book that I have before that, which is Conundrum, which has no humor, and that's about a man who kidnaps a kid in desperation, then learns he cannot return the kid. So that one's kind of a whole different story. But anyway, hope you check it all out. Enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow. Take care. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.